Hey, everybody.
Hey,
Hello.
Cool. So we just talked about Zen's character Nico,
Yes.
and did we have other ideas of who to go next, or
I can go next, or you can go next.
I could go next.
All right, go ahead.
So while I'm not going to be around in the short term, in the long term, I'm going to try to work on playing like a former pirate mercenary type character who was sort of born on the sea on a ship and sort of grew up on the ship, so he knows a lot about boats and living in the sea. And I think at some point the boat became part of a armada or a naval force, and so then he started working for uh, like a navy of some sort. But then at some point, I want to say he was on a losing side of some sort of skirmish, and so then went off to become a pirate because he didn't like that. And then he found the pirating life to be fairly profitable and enjoyed it. So then he became the captain of a mercenary group, and so he was attached to some city state for a while, trying to get all the different ins and outs of things he would need to know to keep money going and whatever opportunities he could find. So that's sort of the life paths he was working on. They're sort of amorphous right now. I don't really have a lot of specifics about like which particular city state or anything like that. I can sort of have those go wherever. Uh, he's pretty average in most things. He's decent at navigating ships, uh, and he's kind of okay at piloting a ship. But a lot of stuff is pretty low level just because I wanted to get a lot of skills. His social skills involve intimidation and extortion, and that's about it.
sounds like my kind of guy.
Yeah, and what's interesting is some of the required traits. So, as being a son of a gun for the life path, I immediately get the sea legs trait, which is nice, which is a call on for speed on ships, but also I never get seasick ever. And then another required one was iron stomach, which means I could pretty much eat anything, and as a call on for fort for any sort of poison or foodborne illness. uh, then another required one was problems with authority. So I really don't like authority or being told what to do. And then the final required trait I had, which is nice. All four of my life paths had a required trait. The last one for the mercenary captain is predatory. So I really like taking advantage of situations and people. And then I think I picked a few other traits to even it out as well. Yeah, I also took another character trait, paranoid about the ship. So I'm always going to be worrying about my ship if I'm not on it, and if I'm on it, I'm going to worry about it. And the last one I did is dexterity of the cat, which is a call on for instances where I'm going over something like precarious or narrow or something like that. It's like for like a speed or climbing check or something.
Cool.
Yeah.
That
And
sounds
what's your
pretty
name?
cool.
Yeah. Oh, right. And my name is Matrim Sisan.
Nice. Now, do you have any NPCs in mind?
I did pick up a low-level relationship as a rival and as a cousin of mine
Oh.
of some sort, but I don't know specifically what where they would be.
Nice.
Originally, I was thinking some sort of like guard or something for a city-state, but I don't know how well that applies now.
Still, probably
But like,
still pretty well.
yeah, but like sort of like as as a rival, right? Like I kind of went the outlaw way, pirate way.
Right.
Maybe he went the other way, and so he like switched sides, and maybe he stayed with whatever
Yeah, that's a really
group that
good
was.
technique. Like,
He could be like one of the people that guards the trades routes, like a pirate hunter kind of thing.
Okay, yeah.
like Adam was saying, like there's this disagreement about if you should just burn up one character or burn up many characters. And I think that if you burn up many character, then the characters you don't use make excellent NPCs for your character. Like it's just this half of the character you say not to focus on. Well, you still have, the ability to pull them in as a contact if you think of something cool you want to do,
Right.
and it keeps your actual character like focused a lot more.
I like the idea of like a pirate hunter or a protector of the trade route type thing. I'll like go with that.
Yeah, it's cool. All right, anything else? Oh, what's your ship?
I think that's it. Oh, my ship. So one of the things I did purchase is a longboat, which I think holds up to like 20 people. And I wasn't sure about this for a while. I was going between like actually like a Nordic longboat or something like maybe like a catamaran or something, but I'm not sure how what the vibe of the ships we want here are type thing. It's the second or third lowest level of a boat, right? Like I think like the smallest one you can get is a rowboat.
Yeah.
But
longboats are still seaworthy.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, totally. And it's shallow, so it can go into like rivers and stuff as well.
I'd like to talk about the narrative positioning of the game. If you have a longboat, and are we going to bring along 20 people to like row it and guard it?
It does come with the crew. Yeah.
I think everything you buy in terms of property and stuff comes with everything you need.
So we're not going to have adventures where we're ambushed by pirates or anything, because we don't really want to have mass combat, do we?
It could. One thing is that it could just be in the background, and then we have our own things happen, sort of that zooms in within the scenes and have different shots.
Like, do we want to tell stories about how we have to defend the ship and how we have to deal with the crew, or do we want them to just be hand waving it?
Well, it's also one of those things where, like, the ship isn't going to have like cannons or big crossbows on him or something to protect itself. So the idea of a sea battle would be weird.
I think that more of a small sailboat, like a catamaran type boat, makes more sense for us. You are like a mercenary captain, so it works for you. But I believe longboats are mostly used specifically like in history were for war. They're usually to carry people.
Well, they used them for the trade people themselves. Also.
Did they? Okay.
And exploration. They went to America on longboats. We found them.
Yeah.
And I am wrong.
And also, Vikings used them to get to England and all that stuff for the first time.
England and Iceland and stuff. Yeah.
So I think actually a longboat may be better on second thought then.
Yeah,
because you don't rely nearly as much on the wind as a sailboat would.
The catamaran can probably be crewed by less people and can't really be rowed.
Because we would have to take care of more people.
We'll have more people, more storage, and but it won't be as fast.
Mm-hmm.
Right, longboats can be rowed. Yep. I remember that. So yeah.
I don't know how you would row a catamaran. I don't think it would work very well.
I don't think that would work well at all.
No, I don't think you could.
If you know better, boat experts, go ahead and post in our thread and tell us how you can roll.
Let us know how boats actually work.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, and I also did pick up the tools for navigation. Okay. So the boat does have the tools to navigate properly.
Awesome.
Now, one question I had where you bought tools, it was just a skill tools. Does that work the same way as ARMS does, where you can just buy it once and you get all of the tools you need, or do you need to buy them individually?
You have to buy them individually.
Okay.
That's one set of toolkits, I think. But let me double check that.
I'm pretty
I'm
sure.
gonna look that back
yeah.
up.
Yeah, because I mean, it was an 8 RPS purchase.
Right.
I know arms is only 6, so I can have, you know, an axe, a sword, 3 knives, and whatever else for 6, whereas I can only get like forging tools for 8.
I did not know
That's
that.
Yep, that's why I went for
Awesome.
money instead of having 50 tools. At least now I can buy the tools, right?
Yep. Cool.
Alright, well, I'll talk about my character while Sith is looking up the rules.
Cool. Okay.
I'm going to call him Edwayne. But what I did is I kind of assumed we were going to have a more of a old English European style of campaign. So if we're going to change our names, but I think all these names sound pretty similar. I'm not too worried
I
about
don't think.
that.
Okay.
Like they're all from the same culture, right?
Mine's from the continent.
not necessarily. We could all be from different islands. So I mean,
Okay.
Right.
any name at this point would work as long as you're just like, well, and this is more like Anglo-Saxon England on this island. So
Right.
Exactly.
I'm assuming there's a number of different cultures in the city-states and everything. So,
Okay, so it's mixed
I guess
culture.
as an aside, from the survey Primark gave us, it seemed like there was like three areas we were interested in, which was like Northern European, the Renaissance, and Mesoamerica.
Which is where all three of them can sort of come together in different ways.
Yeah. I know there was a couple others we were all personally interested in, but those seem to be the ones that like many of us were like, yeah, that would be interesting.
Yeah. All right. So I wanted to play an archaeologist right from the start. I had this image of this archaeologist who ran across this temple of ancient evil, and he didn't, he just stumbled across it, and it saw him, and now he's running for his life. So I decided, like, I need to be a. Let me look. Actually, let me just load up my character sheet. That makes this easier. I thought I needed to be a scholar because all the other life paths, like they could lead into being a scholar, into being an archaeologist, but they weren't actually archaeologists. Like the archivist,
Yeah, I think
he could be like a bookish archaeologist, but he wouldn't be out in the field all the time.
Okay.
So I tried to aim for being a scholar.
Okay.
And I also,
because it was like archivist or like the custodian.
Yeah, the religious life path. But I wanted more of a magical life path. I thought that he would get interested in magic, and then he would try and go to magic school and flunk out. But he would, get contacts with the guild or the school of magic at least, and yeah. So
did
the lead up to that.
I'm sorry, I was just saying. So, like, did he take the neophyte sorcerer?
That's the thing, is that I can take that path, but I would rather take the dilettante path because it seems like what they're dabbling in is sorcery.
Okay.
Like if you look at the skills they have,
okay,
like they have sorcery wise. Neophyte sorcerer doesn't even have sorcery, and I just felt that was a more appropriate life path. So to get to there, like what sparked his interest in magic, and originally I was like thinking about being a falconer because ever since I've read the Dark Tower series, there is an epic battle where the character Roland like has a gunfight while he is directing his hawk to fight a bunch of people. But then I realized you had to pay out the ass to have a hawk. So I changed it. I decided to become a lord because a lord still would have the falconry skill, and he'd also be a hunter, and also he'd be super rich, which is great. So I developed this idea of he was the lord of this, like, not the lord, but like the son of a lord, and his father would give him responsibility to handle like trade imports and trade exports, and because of that, he became friends with another lord who wanted to smuggle in, you know, ancient artifacts. Some of them were magical, and he just wanted them. His price for signing the papers to get the items into town was to hear the story of the ancient artifact. And so he had this trade going on where he would help the smuggler get items into his town, and he would go on hunting trips with the lord and learn all these amazing stories. So
I think, like, if you take the Lord path, you're actually the Lord.
Yeah, he is the Lord. I think the way I think of it is... But you were saying, like,
his father was still around?
Yeah, his father is probably the Lord of a larger area that encompasses his area. Maybe he's actually a baron or something.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Maybe he's a viscount. Maybe
he moved up and left you his old car.
Right. Or like, this is the training wheels. You know, the son gets to manage this little province before he
at the age of 8.
Yeah, well, age 8 to 15. He probably had a regent looking over his shoulders for the first few years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Got into lots of trouble. And of
then
course,
what happened?
To be a lord, you're probably born noble. And I liked born noble just because of the stat-wise. It gave me a lot of flexibility in deciding, you know, how to become an archaeologist. And also, I pretty much knew I would have to be nobility from the start, because to become an archaeologist in a feudal setting demands
you need a bit of luxury.
A bit of luxury and free time and
money and
access
not having
to
to
education
worry. And
exactly
contacts. So I feel like born nobile is the choice to start with.
Okay.
Cool.
All right.
So that does beg the question: why are you not the Lord anymore?
I think I am the
Something
Lord.
happened.
Why can't I still be
you still
the
are?
Lord? Yeah.
You're just away right now, and
Yeah.
maybe whenever you're GMing, it's when you have temporarily returned to your abode.
Exactly.
Possibly. Okay.
Like, I think he's this great archaeologist. I took the. I want to take the reputation for being a great archaeologist, but it's a local reputation. He's not known in his homeland for being an archaeologist. He's known out here in the islands for being an archaeologist.
He's known back home for being the Lord.
Yeah, he's known back home for being the Lord. And maybe as it'd be cool if as I became like more renowned as an archaeologist, then I would become known in my homeland for being a lord. I mean, for being an archaeologist. But I doubt we'll spend much time there on screen anyhow. So if it does come up, it's cool. It gives me some variety in my roleplay.
Have you talked about there being like a steward or a regent helping you when you were young? Did you get a relationship for that?
No.
Are they still around?
I think they're gone.
They're gone.
They're probably dead.
Okay.
It was probably like an old uncle or something. Maybe an old uncle who's dead. It's up to you guys. I don't have any particular attachments to it either way. Who I did take as a contact was the smuggler lord who I originally got involved in smuggling items with. He's a contact. I decided he's an uncle, but he's like probably like the fourth or fifth uncle. And his sister was a priestess who I have a forbidden romantic relationship with. She's probably
Why is it
Uncle's
like
sister or
forbidden?
your sister?
his sister, not my sister,
Why is it forbidden?
because she's in the priesthood. She's probably like
Okay, so
a nun or
it's
What-
something.
okay.
Wouldn't it be his daughter?
No, it'd be his sister. Why would it be his daughter?
Because you said the smuggler was your uncle, and the priestess is a cousin.
They're both uncles and cousins, and just that it's so many steps removed. You know, they're my cousins. They're just both my cousins. I have a really big family myself,
Makes sense for nobles
and
to also have that.
Okay.
yeah, I have
Yeah.
plenty of uncles and aunts that are also my cousins. It's just when
So
you
it's
have a really big
Distant
Yeah, you-
relative.
family,
Okay.
yeah, when you have a
Yeah, and
really
you said
big
it was like the
family
fourth
tree,
or fifth uncle, so he could be about your age even, given
right?
that, you know.
Like you
Okay.
often
Okay.
have uncles or aunts that are younger or older than you.
Okay.
It's
Yep.
super weird.
So they are, but they are related to each other
Sure.
specifically, not the distant.
No, those
relation.
two are direct relations, yeah.
Okay.
And so I was thinking about how the old intermarriage between nobility happens, and that's why they're my cousins, because probably all the nobility are intermarried. Maybe not in the city states that we're exploring, but back home
Mhm.
probably.
Okay.
So we sort of like hand waved a lot of like the smuggling stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But what about this priestess thing? Like we haven't really talked about religion at all.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think she's like a princess that got sent to a nunnery to keep her away from boys until it's time for her to get married to the chosen
Like boarding. It's like
guy.
the feudal equivalent of boarding school.
Right.
Yeah. Got to keep them chaste until their wedding day.
And I'm kind of
We do.
screwing with
Yeah.
that a little bit.
right.
But
Do you have-
the religion, I do have an idea of a religion.
Okay.
I'm imagining that it's a religion that venerates people that ascended to godhood, and the people that they're worshiping are gods that provide protection against a certain kind of black magic. So, like, you might have a god a god of the mind that protects against mind control magic, or you might have a god of the hearth that prevents from being burnt up. And I don't know if they have explicit powers in the setting, and it's just something that people believe. But I think that it's also something we can play with to put restrictions on the kind of magic we want to see in the campaign.
Cool.
Okay.
So if I'm understanding it correctly, it's sort of the next logical step of like Dragon Age Dwarven Paragons. Like these people just ascended to a higher level,
Right,
and therefore they are venerated. Okay.
right. I'm thinking about like a reference to the Outer Scrolls too.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the
Yep.
gods there.
True.
What's his face?
Talos.
Talos, yeah. But I think they were all like that. And it could just be an ancestor cult that has a lot of followers, but
Yep. Okay, I like that.
yeah. A lot of room to experiment. Any other questions?
Okay. Did you have names for anyone?
I haven't gotten names for them yet. I wanted to hear ideas if you guys like maybe wanted to be connected. Like I know Nico has some smuggler friends. It sounds like they're different smuggler friends than me.
Yeah, my he might work for this this noble smuggler guy that you have, or he might know him in passing at least.
Mm-hmm. I'm thinking what happened there is that the smuggler lord who I have as a contact, I kind of turned my influence over what he could do to smuggle things into my city to gain control over his smuggling operation. And now him and me are kind of fighting over who controls the smuggling organization.
Cool.
What's this?
Well, I think I might introduce my character.
Okay. I can talk about my skills too if you want to hear about them.
Yeah, do that.
Alright, let me... My character sheet started to disappear.
That's bad.
Here we go.
That's okay.
So I decided to take a lot of knowledge skills so I could work them into each other. One of the skills I could have taken... So I have like 5 different histories. I have obscure history, and I have ancient languages, and I have ancient history somewhere. I have symbology. I have the research skill. So I'm hoping I can, fork those all together somehow. One skill I was thinking of taking was instruction. I actually can take instruction. Do you guys want me to take that?
It's a useful skill, I think, because then we can teach each other skills when we have downtime.
Yeah. But I could open that up, and then it's like...
Can you instruct people on instruction?
Yeah.
Can you teach people how to teach? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's really useful then.
All right, I'll open that up. I have research. I feel like research is the big book learning skill. And I took the scavenging skill because there's no archaeology skill. And I want a skill that lets me find stuff.
What wises do you have?
Only sorcery wise. But I'm going to start with grade perception. So I should pick those up pretty easy.
Do you have ditch digging?
No. That's not an option for me.
How do you find all the archaeology stuff?
Research?
You go to...
I was thinking like the specific actual...
See, I thought about taking mining instead.
Spelunking?
Mining could be an archaeology skill. Is there a spelunking skill?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
I'm in the Estes right now.
Ditch digging is literally just for digging a hole. So
Yeah.
I felt like scavenging was like for finding things in a hole once it's dug. Or like, if you think about archaeologists, right? Like, it's not so much that they're digging a hole as they're spending like days with a toothbrush.
Right.
Like,
well, yeah, but also like they're able to dig a hole, but also dig a hole without destroying anything that would have been in the hole's space.
I mean, I don't know if ditch digging covers that. And I thought that
you might just
it
end up
does
making
depend
an
on
archaeology
the kind.
Skill.
It depends on the kind of archaeology we have too. Like we talked about investigating ruins. Like you're not going to dig up a ruin. You're going to look at all the rotten stuff and try and see what's
we've already alluded that like some of the ruins are underwater, right?
Yeah.
Like half of underwater, and,
right?
Yeah.
Or it would make sense that some are within like volcanic rock and stuff like Pompeii,
underground caves, yeah.
Right. So because we know volcanoes have erupted here, so
Right. And maybe that's something.
There could easily be a Pompeii town or something, or a city.
If you think I should take mining or digging, I can definitely see opening it.
I'm not sure. Hold on. I'm trying to find scavenging in the top real quick.
Okay.
Scavenging could work.
There it is.
Or just make archaeology wise, and we'll treat that as a big deal.
Yeah, I can take an archaeology wise. But wises are for like asking questions.
They are.
Yeah. No, scavenging seems to work. But I also want to say, like, it's kind of like, instead of like, kind of like how history and languages work, right? Like, it's gonna be like obscure scavenging or like ruin scavenging. You know, like that. It's getting, you know, like something like that, right?
So, prefix.
If that's cool with you guys, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the obstacles work, as you're saying, Golden. That, like, you know, obstacle, find rags and scraps, find common household goods, find hard to find items, you know, valuable items.
Yeah, finding valuable items is archaeology.
Right, or, you know, rare objects.
Right.
Obscure or out of place items. Yeah.
Like.
So so like, I would say there would be some sort of specialized scavenging thing.
I'll probably open regular scavenging so I can fork it in, and I'll put most of my points in obscure scavenging.
Yeah, you could fork in regular scavenging, totally.
Yeah.
And, like, you know, your whatever ancient history thing and a lot of, you know...
Right.
The research... Yeah, well, research would probably be more of, like, a link test thing.
Yeah.
But...
Yeah. Like, it's going to... Like, I'm having the knowledge part down. And, like, I have the languages down, so I can also do that part, interpreting. I have...
Yeah.
I have history. I have obscure history. I have read. Where's Write? I think I took Write. Doesn't matter. I don't think he's like the instructor, like Indiana Jones. I think he definitely goes out in the field, but he doesn't go home and teach. He goes home and rules the city.
Yeah.
Yeah. But maybe he has a penchant for like imparting knowledge to people, like while he's doing things.
Right. Well, I took rhetoric because I thought that was the perfect argumentative skill for someone in his position.
Yep, that makes sense because you'll often be addressing crowds or groups of people at least.
So for rhetoric versus persuasion, I think rhetoric is convincing people of an idea, and persuasion is convincing people to do an action. Does that seem logical to you guys?
Yeah, let me look up rhetoric real quick.
Yeah, I know rhetoric and burning wheel is different from rhetoric as the definition. I think the definition is technically speaking to a group of people.
The literal definition of rhetoric includes persuasion in real life.
Yeah, exactly.
Rhetoric is a form of discourse centered on the conveyance of thoughts, ideas, and concepts in the interest of winning an argument. Yeah, it's more about the ideas, like, and getting that across than it is, hey, you go,
So if you
dig that
can
ditch for me.
convince the city guards that everything is nothing, and so it doesn't matter if they walk over there away from their guard post and let us slip by.
It has to be really pedantic, like, oh, guard, you think you saw us, but your argument is wrong because you didn't actually think you saw us.
Yeah. What are our eyes really?
Right.
Yeah.
What's that, Jaden Smith?
Sir, so therefore,
what's that,
everything
Jaden
you know
Smith?
is wrong.
What's that?
Hopefully, some of you guys will have philosophy, and you can help me. That'll be fun.
No, I've got
How
falsehood.
can we know what we see is real if our eyes aren't real or something like that?
Yeah. So let's see. What else do I have on my character sheet? I want to have a house. I want to have like a pack mule or something. I'm hoping like an ox.
Okay.
That it's like the friendly animal companion that follows me around and like it's always there. Are you guys okay with having livestock on your ship?
Yeah.
How do we want to? So okay.
That definitely leads into his paranoia. There's crap everywhere.
You have to shovel that. I'm not making my guys shovel that.
Right.
All right. We're all good then.
Cool. Well, I guess I'll introduce my character. Oh.
So real quick, before that, I think I've gone through everyone's character sheet and added relationship NPCs in the journal. So some of you haven't named them, some of you have. So if you have named them, hopefully the name is right. If you haven't, it's just a placeholder.
Right.
So if you guys want to look at that, you can't control it, but it should be accessible.
Oh, we didn't talk about my dwarf relationship. Do you want to talk about her or not?
Sure.
So the dwarf is a fellow archaeologist, and I think she's also the mother of my unborn child. We were on our last dig together, and things got heated, and then I found the ancient evil, and we split up. I don't know what happened to her.
So crossbreeds are a thing then?
If that's okay with you guys. Maybe it will be stillborn.
I think they're rare, probably. But I like them as a possibility.
If I can inject a little science, that kid should probably be barren, like not able to have.
Yeah.
Well,
like donkeys or mules.
I think it'd be an interesting complication if he survived. Because if I'm the heir and he's my firstborn son, he'll be the heir.
Yep.
Yeah.
He'd also be a bastard.
But here's the thing, though, right? Like, you don't have a relationship with the kid.
He doesn't exist yet.
He's an unborn child.
Oh. I thought it was already born.
No.
Not that she was.
I thought about this. I think this is way more interesting.
Yeah, because then it's in the GM's hands. What the hell happens to that kid?
And you get a free relationship later on once the kid's born.
Oh, really? Yeah. I didn't think of that. Power gaming.
Pretty much.
It's like make all of your relationships pregnant so that they'll end up multiplying.
Tips for Adam.
Yes,
make all your
exactly.
NPCs
that should be
pregnant.
A complication checkbox. Pregnant? Yes.
Technically, does that count as family? I don't know. Okay. Well, I will introduce my character if there is nothing else.
Nope, I don't think so.
Okay. My name is Ernest Buck. I'm 29 years old. I was born a slave in the continent. At 12 years old, joined the army to escape slavery. Served there for 8 years. Got an honorable discharge at 20. I've been spending the last 8 years wandering around, finding work. You know, the usual stuff. I'm good at fighting. I've got a set of plate mail, mace, which I'm quite skilled at. I am somewhat intimidating. I don't sleep much, and I am loyal to one of these three bastards. I haven't decided which one yet. One of them hired me. Actually, I think that might... I'm trying to think of what more to say. I think that might be it. Relationships.
Yeah.
My sister, Matilda Buck, she's a higher up in the organization, whatever that means. So she got me a job here. Then I heard Hugo Marwick, former commanding officer. Heard he's around town. Dunno where. That's my life, I think.
Okay.
Is it sort of like a box of chocolates?
I think I'm loyal to Edwayne Waleson. Not that I can ever say it correctly. Pays me. I do what he says. I protect him a bit, but mostly do what he says.
You just call him Mr. W?
I call him whatever he tells me to.
Lord.
Oh, Lord W?
Lord W.
It's actually a thing, right?
Lord W.
Oh, is that the Baron I'm thinking of?
Yeah, no, you have a lordship trait.
You're used to being called your title.
Yeah, you have to have the your lordship
I
trait
do.
to be a lord.
Yep.
Mhm.
So
So I call you, my character
Lord
calls you
W.
whatever you want him to call. He's like, when it comes to his job, he was a slave and then a soldier in on the continent where slaves are most of the soldiers is what I'm like interjecting about them. Um, he therefore basically treats his work, which is when he's protecting you, as I do what I'm told no matter what. I am much like Navari in that I am the weapon, I am not the wielder. Um, I was gonna say something else. Yes, my sister, who is my biological sister, Matilda Buck, she ran away. We were both born slaves, of course. She managed to escape. She is older than me. Um, and I think after I left and joined the army, and I didn't know this until after I was probably on leave fighting somewhere for one of the factions that have now made up the the large single-minded continent. Um, she ran away before I like when I was not able to help her for one reason or another, and turns out she did quite well for herself.
cool.
Hugo Marwick is my former CO. Uh, Now that I no longer am in the army, I am free to express my hatred towards him, so I do not like him. He's a hated contact and forbidden, of course, because the continent themselves have a bit of a stigma about them here, especially in the army, which both I and he were.
Okay.
So I think that is him. He has plate mail and a shield and a mace and a spare mace and a machete. Shoes, traveling gear, personal effects. I have no property at all. Um, I am stubborn. I am a light sleeper. I am broken, and I am loyal. So I am a very good person to order around. Except when I am a very bad person to argue against doing my order. If you're not the person in charge of me and you try to convince me to do something that I am not ordered to do, that's going to be difficult for you.
Okay.
What is
Well, I
your
guess.
will score like for
Four.
him?
It's not
Four.
bad. I think my speed is 3, my power is 6, and everything else is 4.
Okay.
So he is not uh he's strong, not necessarily tough. He is 4 fort.
Nice.
Okay.
So he's like a smarter, meaner, tougher Forrest Gump. Is how I described him.
But much slower.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh,
Much slower.
yeah.
With the leg braces is basically.
Yeah, basically. I upgraded my leg braces to full plate mail. It's just
There you go.
body brace.
Yeah, Forrest Gump never had to run full plate.
Hmm I
Right.
have armor training and shield training, which
Okay.
is good in fights. I have brawling. I have command. My only social skill is intimidation. I have both slaver wise and soldier wise. I have a 5 in maces, which is useful.
Yeah. Oh yeah, my character had a number of lives as well. I didn't talk about.
Yeah, I
I
have a
actually didn't pick up any for mine.
in case ever I have field dressing in case we get injured, though not that's sort of the basics. That's definitely not a doctor or an apothecary.
Yeah, I don't have any of the healing stuff.
So that is my character.
Nice.
Um, he is going to be loyal to Golden's character. It was very close between Golden's character and Nico, but I think Nico has the money.
Hmm
B, Nico is probably the best person to order my character around.
Maybe if you guys if you
What do you
guys
mean?
like this sort of like fictional positioning stuff, but maybe Ernest found Aedwin through the smuggler lord contact,
Yeah.
and so because you weren't sure about how a quote quote reputable empire boy would find work in here, so maybe you're on
Well,
loan to Edwin from the smuggler lord or something.
yeah, makes sense. Maybe his father wants like, well, I know his father doesn't take care of him anymore. Maybe he had just hired some extra protection after the ancient evil, or something like that. Maybe
Okay.
he wants someone who can back him up if
Probably
things go
before
badly.
then.
Before then, so was I there?
Well, the way I'm seeing it is that I had an entire archaeological party, and on the way there, we had like bad premonitions that destroyed the morale of the dig, and we all split up. And
I
I
like the idea
probably
that that
faced
might
the
be
evil
why.
alone, and you probably
Okay,
helped drag me out of the mud after I collapsed running away.
I like the idea that might be why I now have the light sleeper trait. That I saw something and
Yeah,
it keeps me up.
maybe you saw what was chasing me.
That's cool.
Or we said we had our own visions, but we can figure it out in flashbacks and talks.
Yeah. The one thing
Cool.
I'm worried about is if you guys decide to turn around and face the ancient evil in the first session. It could be a TPK or really anticlimactic if nothing's there.
I would likely not. I'd be the fighter, and I'd be like, "We should not do this,
Yeah.
sir. Please don't make me do this."
No, let's
Okay,
run
you said we.
away.
Right.
Let's run away.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
It's
Run,
yeah,
Forrest.
yeah.
Run,
Uh,
Ernest.
The,
light
Run,
mail.
Ernest.
Actually, I
yeah.
do have a box of
Why do I
toffee.
have a feeling that "run to the forest" is going to be
Run
like
to the
a very
forest.
commonly yelled thing?
Yeah.
Uh,
I
I
actually have a
got a
belief
box of
about
chocolates
that.
for my birthday.
Oh, you lucky. What's in them? Are they
What's
cherry or chocolate or what?
They're basically turtles, but a different brand, and they look
Ooh,
better than
wow.
like turtles as they are. So, yeah,
Sounds
Yeah.
good.
It sounds like an
it's that.
amusing conversation though, where like Edwin, as like this academic, is like, "No, soldier, your shield will totally work against this nuke. Let's totally go
Yeah.
against it." Like,
Just hold
and
the
the
shield
soldier,
up and bounce the fireball away.
It's it's Tyrael from Diablo, and he's got a sword, and he's like, you're just sitting there with your shield up.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
basically I will do it if you tell me to do it.
yeah.
nice.
But then it gets into like that Reaper of Souls intro, where
Yeah,
like the guys with the
yeah.
stiffs are
Everyone
there,
else dies.
and Death just like goes right through them, and does not care at all.
Yeah.
But real quick, you guys are talking about wises. I wanted to say I picked up a
Yeah.
few, most of them from my life paths, but a few other wises. I have a fat merchant wise,
Beautiful.
a pirate cove wise,
Oh, that's great.
sailor wise, sea wise, and I think that's it. But also, I have a lot of seafaring stuff. So I have like seamanship, rigging, knots. I'm pretty good with knots.
Always useful.
Yeah, and I'm also okay with knives and swords.
Cool.
And I totally will brawl with anyone, which is
Nice.
not very well.
Bring it.
I love wises. I know I didn't take many,
Yeah.
but I'm going to
Wises
be
are awesome.
trying to wise everything.
Yeah. And I most of those wises I got through life paths, but
Nice.
I gave myself sailor wise as a general.
How
Yeah.
easy do we think it is to actually pick up wises, like as a learned skill?
I think it would be you call on it, kind of like how Daniel was doing the Village of Hokenwise, right? Like,
You basically have to
you,
explicitly say, "I want to call upon
yeah,
my knowledge about this thing."
right.
So
And
we'd need to like link test that basically for like beginner's luck.
I don't think it would be a link test. I think it would just be a straight
Yeah.
It's like a
learning new
knowledge
spell
check,
thing.
sort of.
Beginner's luck, yeah. It'd be a beginner's luck knowledge test.
Yeah, just
Cool.
if
So
you have a high
if you have
perception,
high,
it's easier.
yeah, yeah.
And
If you have a high perception, it'll go pretty well.
unlike in the pre-written adventure, we don't start with any Artha. Is that right?
Right. No
Cool.
Arthur.
Well, we can. It's up to Sith, though. He just said no. Okay.
No Artha.
Adam will be pleased. We will suffer.
We shall suffer greatly for the viewer's pleasure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which it really sets my guy up worse because at some point you guys will have some amount of Artha and then I'll come in with nothing.
But then
Well-
we'll switch out. It'll balance out in long term.
Is that how we want to handle like picking up extra life paths? Do we want to let whoever was GMs get a advancement life path?
I don't think so,
I,
because most of
I
life
was
paths are years long.
Yeah.
yeah, I was
Yeah.
thinking like more of a practice test kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like
Just let them
whoever's
take practice
GMing
tests. Okay.
can do
Okay.
practice tests. Like when you bring your character back in, you have however long we were playing to
All
do
right.
practice tests.
Makes
Okay.
sense.
I like
I'd
that.
just be worried that Sith being the first one out will be considerably weaker.
Right.
With the practice
Also,
tests, you might end up being stronger.
Well, it
well,
depends
also
how
remember, like,
Sith. Make sure the first adventure takes us 5 years.
Yes.
And it's also dependent on your
It's
will score too. I mean,
time
it's
travel.
100
will
years.
times 3 or something like that. You can practice per day.
Something like
Yeah,
Or is
that.
it
Right.
will
will
times
times
5?
4, I think. I think it's either will times 3 or will times 4.
It's 3 hours times your willpower a day.
Decent.
I don't remember anything offhand, but we are at the top of the hour. And
Yeah,
it
it's time
sounds
to
like a
take a
good
break.
transition to get into culture stuff and figure out like some of the city states. And
And their
it looks like
bits.
we have a couple armies to figure out, and then after that we can work on bits and everything.
Yes.
All right. Thanks
Right
for
on.
watching, everybody. And
Thank you.
again, restart the stream. And we'll be back in 5 minutes.